what's going on? I need to call my mom. I guess I should call the restaurant. I don't even know if it's okay to fly.
What if all your go-to places were gone?
If you had told me that your restaurant would be closed down, I would have said, you know what, I don't buy it.
I got so nervous for all my friends in this business. Yep, I need to go see all my people.
You know, we did national shipping, we did delivery, we did takeout, we did state care packages. We literally try to do everything in our power to stay alive, but that's just not enough.
It has been one of the most distracting, mentally hijacking, emotionally trying.
You hear the news, you don't know what to believe. You know, is this COVID thing spiking?
I have young kids, and you cannot share with them the kind of darkness that you feel.
Some important developments in our war against the Chinese virus.
Why does he keep saying that?
Some remarks from the president just destroyed a lot of the businesses.
And it pisses me off that I've been in circumstances in restaurants where these conversations come up and people are like, oh, it's not that bad. What are you talking about? It's not bad. Like, what world do you live in?
Hundreds of years of oppression on top of a global pandemic. And what does that look like? It looked like bad.
What's normal? Do you really want to go back?
This is a dress rehearsal for climate change.
Okay, I shortened my life opening this restaurant.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Is this the beginning of something crumbling, or is it something that's going to strengthen?
I can't sit here and watch the whole industry fall off of a cliff.
Boom, there you go. That was a trailer for Sorry, We're Closed. It's your boy Kuya P. This is Nerds Rule the World. And as you see on the screen, I'm so excited, so delighted to have the director of Sorry, We're Closed, Peter Ferriero, and chef Elizabeth Falkner. Thank you both so much for your time today. I truly appreciate you guys.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, appreciate being here.
Definitely. So as I kind of told you earlier, right before we came on, I am a foodie. And probably during the pandemic, I became even more of a crazy foodie, but I couldn't actually go to like my favorite restaurants because no one could go anywhere. There's a pandemic outside. And one of the things I didn't realize is, well, I saw much later on, is what would happen to my favorite restaurants. And sorry to say, and sad to see, when I did go back home to like South Carolina, that became like a food mecca after I left there as a kid. It's like insane. But a lot of the restaurants I loved were closed. And I didn't even think about it. And so here's this project talking about it. And Elizabeth, thank you for, you know, I think this was kind of like your journey of finding out yourself. From what I saw from the trailer, you hooked up with my man Pete to tell this story. Tell me about this genesis and your journey and showing love to your fellow restaurateurs and chefs.
Yeah, I mean, like, Pete and I had been talking. We did another film that he directed a few years ago called Her Name is Chef, and we started talking before the pandemic, before we ever heard of this pandemic, COVID coming. We started talking about doing a film together that would be focused on sort of the state of mind or mental health of chefs. Certainly a hot topic. You know, it was an up and coming topic. And then when the everything started happening, everything kind of really unfolded in this real time that we honestly just felt like a sense of urgency. Like we needed to like have this conversation like now, not wait and see what happens. But like, it was something that, you know, I had experienced losing my restaurants 10 years previously in San Francisco. And so when I started getting, you know, messages and emails and watching Instagram myself from all of my colleagues, I was like, wow, this is a crazy time. And so we sort of really went out to start having conversations with them, chef to chef. And, you know, Pete and I were like, yeah, we got to go as soon as we were allowed to go back outside, we're like, we got to just get a small crew together and make this film. And then the stories kind of unfolded as we went along.
Wow. Pete, tell me about that conversation with Elizabeth.
Yeah. I mean, we wanted to do something. We didn't know what we could do because there weren't a lot of crews out filming things at that time. I guess an independent documentary was okay, I guess. I don't know. It was certainly okay for us, but people would be like, I saw you filming, because we were the only crew like out there filming, and we got a small crew, like she said, and just went to every place that you can imagine in the 4 different cities. And then since Zoom was a big thing at the time, where we used StreamYard, we started having like these virtual conversations as well, so that we can tackle places that we weren't going to be able to get to. So it was a collection of just talking to everybody that we can think of. And
it was kind of amazing because Pete, I just remind us that we were in LA first, and we were like, we couldn't really go in people's restaurants and film their food, but we kind of, we needed you to know that we were in different places. So, but we just were like, well, let's go shoot at Griffith Observatory. And we go up there, and it like nobody was there, so nobody could stop us from shooting. We were like in the middle of Times Square with nobody there. Or like the first time that I flew, I used my iPhone and picked up some footage of me on the plane going, oh, this is crazy. There's nobody 6 feet away from me. So stuff was like, I just wanted it to be like, this is a crazy time. We got to capture the moment without trying to recreate it later.
It's interesting that you say that, because I remember being in Times Square, and it was like, I was so nervous if you were shooting Times Square during the norm, you know what I mean? Everybody would be on you about that. The cops were like, "Gad."
Yeah. Like, I know, and we got so much of like the artwork on the streets, like I love that image of, everything is boarded up, but people are, painting on it, Stronger Together or Black Lives Matter on the street, and Hollywood. And I think that's one of the coolest things about the filmmaking process is you might start out with these ideas and then you go, oh my God, but let's capture that,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Amazing. I'm a filmmaker as well. And one of the things though I try to avoid is documentary work, because it's so real. It's not putting on an act. As an actor performer, it's real lives we're dealing with. It's real people's stories. So I kind of like stray a little bit. I don't know. I'll be on the crew side of things, but it's just kind of wild. So with the subject material, you're going and talking with people that they're losing business. It's all that. To me, it would be heartbreaking. That's is where I'm getting at, and I'm curious what that was like. So you're talking to all these folks, they're losing their business. Was there any personal moments through this process that touched you that just was, I don't know, that is portrayed in the film, and you talk on the film that you maybe were just very careful for them and for yourself, and because you had to, I don't know, I talk to my friends that I live in DC, and they do a lot of documentary work, and it's prevalent, but like, man, what is your self-care routine? Because I would be crying every day. I'm an empath. For you, Pete, let me throw back at you, Pete, because you're behind the camera, you're editing all of this material.
I was particularly moved by my friend Mike Carino, who we filmed in New Jersey. I've been friends with him for a long time, and I was not aware of his bout with mental health and depression and being in a hospital. So that took me back a minute, because I wasn't aware of how deep all of that was. And also Leah Cohen losing her father. There was moments where, she talked about losing her father during the pandemic to COVID, and her father was a Trump supporter, and not to get into the whole thing, but then there was like some kid, because we were in the midst of all of this, but there was some kid in a Trump hat sitting behind her. So like, because this was the way the world was at that moment. So it was those kinds of things where I was like, oh my God, there's so much happening all in my mind right now. Like, do I ask him to move, or do I allow him to sit there? Because it's like, what's real? And so we did. Mm-hmm. But so I mean, and then just seeing Elizabeth, kind of I don't know, like go through this relapse of what she went through in 2008 and have these emotional connections and moments was very touching and, difficult to watch, but also as a filmmaker, like amazing to watch as well.
Elizabeth.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think one of the hardest parts is having these are very normal conversations that I have almost on a regular basis with these people and others. And I think one of the harder pieces for me is when people can't admit their struggles. So when I'm having a conversation with them, and they're like, "Yeah, everything's fine," and I'm like, well, that's just not the truth. And so that's the part that I guess scares me the most, when people are just not able. I mean, they're just so resilient and trying to push on that they're going to just ignore that piece that's alarming on the, sending alarms on the side.
It's also, to her point, it's like some people that we interviewed in the film, I feel like we spent a lot of time with, and they started on that note of like, it's going to be fine, everything's going to be okay. And then the more the layers broke open is like, well, I'm really stressed, I'm really worried, I'm really like, it took some time for Elizabeth to like really get to the heart of what was happening. And that's a good point, Elizabeth.
So everybody,
yeah, and I think.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, I think that the chefs do a really, collective conversations bring up a really good point about the things that are still problematic for the industry. It's not like that all got fixed. I think that, it's prophetic in some ways, especially with things that Gabrielle Hamilton and Alice Waters talk about. We just had like torrential storms in LA yesterday, and I've never heard of a tropical storm hitting Southern California, and I grew up here. And or like earlier this year, we had the atmospheric river. I mean, like, these are climate change conversations now that I feel like Alice is basically saying, this is just hang on, folks, this is just a dress rehearsal right now. So, and that sounds so terrifying and scary, but I think the good news about this is that chef people, like, listen, they do make stuff happen. They are frontline workers, and they will really get off on making people happy with food. So, like, that is what's so great about this. They are totally superheroes. Like, in my mind, they're just, I can't believe how strong this community of chef people is.
I love that. And that's that was part of what I was going to add. And I'm sorry if I almost cut you off, Elizabeth. I want to remind everybody, Sorry We're Closed is streaming now. Go check it out on all platforms. I'm gonna have all the links in the description below, so you can go see it once you're done watching this. Please go check it out. So yeah, I love that. Yes, there's resiliency. We're still striving. There's going to be tears, probably. I know I cried up a little bit watching the trailer, but one of the things I love about documentaries is it takes you on a journey. We learn, and that's where I think is so important. You're going to cry, but you're also going to get uplifted. And to your point that you just said, Elizabeth, the resiliency that we're going to still strive, we're going to still keep on keeping on, and we're going to be, as community, hold each other up and take it on no matter what comes our way. One of the things I really appreciated when I saw the trailer was, as an Asian American, during this pandemic times, we had a lot of things that, as Pete said earlier, that Trump was saying, and I saw a lot of my friends that run Asian restaurants fail and lost business because of the rhetoric that happened during this pandemic times. I'm so happy that was spotlighted, at least what I saw. I haven't had a chance to fully watch the film yet, but I want to just thank you both for having that be a part of this piece. If you can maybe talk a little bit about that aspect within Sorry We're Closed.
Yeah, that stuff just makes me crazy. And Pete and I would be on a daily basis, even before we started shooting, just constantly texting each other saying, oh, I can't believe like what's being said on television. And I just felt like we were slapped around for years by the former president. And I'm not afraid to talk about it in the film. It was a really horrible, disgusting time in this country to have somebody leading it, saying all this stuff about, just all that garbage about pick any ethnicity, but like picking on, Asian Americans, picking on Asians in general. And then, we happened to be filming right when Black Lives Matter happened at the same time. It wasn't something that we were expecting in the film, but this is just all of this stuff coming to a head that's happening in real time. But it's just wrong, it's just devastating what it has done to a lot of Asian restaurants across the country. And just put that I don't, just the rhetoric, the hate stuff that goes on. You know, I mean, I just heard about that woman whose store got where she just got murdered for having a rainbow flag in her store, and you know, I can't even deal with it.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you both for bringing it up as a subject within the documentary. Pete,
it just was that there was like, you know, there's real effects of the things that he was saying in that time period. It wasn't just fun, silly, like, oh, haha, president. It's like, no, it's like, here are these restaurants, specifically in, you know, in San Francisco, Brandon, and this is what's happening because of this. You know what I mean?
I mean, people got killed in the subway. It's just messed up.
And that was really important to highlight, I think, for us, both in the Black Lives Matter case and again, this is a really interesting piece of time of our lives, where when you're in something, it's really hard to think about like living in that. Like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. There was just so many of those things as we were making this film. It became more about like, okay, yes, all the restaurant closures and all that stuff was definitely the core of this film. But it's like, and then all these other crazy things happened while we were doing that film. And so we decided to just show as much as it was possible.
Again, thank you both. I as an Asian American, like I said, I appreciate it, and it's so important. And hopefully, like you're doing, like this is going to help create conversations. Let's protect our community, our favorite places. Please go to your favorite restaurant, show them support, buy all the things, because you know you love the food. It'll be amazing. Again, thanks. Pete, from a production aspect, a filmmaking aspect, I wanted to ask you, and working with Elizabeth, you kind of brought it up earlier. You know, this kind of happened like right at the front of the pandemic, and you know, to get a lot of content that are like in other areas, you shot through Zoom, and you utilized some Zoom footage that I saw as well. That had, for me as a pop culture guy, that, you know, as a filmmaker, but also I can't go to conventions and shows anymore, especially during the pandemic. So a lot of interviews were done via Zoom, and like I'm talking to y'all through Zoom right now. How has that changed for you as a documentarian? I'm sorry, you know, your filmmaking process, because we had to learn cool new ways to shoot during this pandemic time. How was it with you, like including Zoom, and just how like much did that energize you and Elizabeth to kind of get certain content and everything for this project?
Like, I mean, when you're making a film, you want to use the best camera, the best quality thing always, right? Like that's your goal. But then since this film was about a very specific point in time where Zoom and social media was all becoming like a big part of the conversation, it was like, well, no, that's cool. Let's use all that stuff. I'm still someone who I wouldn't love to use it in something new, you know what I mean? But like, I love the concept of being able to utilize different ways of making the film. The story needs to be told. So whatever camera or thing that you're using it's got to be okay, because it's the story that really matters the most, I think.
Yeah, and I think it has to feel like the time that it's made, and like it can be timeless that way because you're really honest about the techniques you can use in the moment.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, I'm thankful for it because it's also bringing you to me right now. Thank you both for sharing in your time. So sorry we're closed. It's streaming again now. Everybody is checking it out. What has the reception been? And for the people, your subjects within the project, can we possibly, for the people that are also have seen it and now tuning into this interview, any updates with some of the people that you talked to?
I mean, so the response from chefs across like all the different screenings we did last year and film festivals has been really tremendous. And, you know, we got Best Documentary Feature at Pasadena Film Festival. We opened at Devour Film Festival up in Nova Scotia last year. We had a screening at Aspen Food and Wine and the ACF in Las Vegas, and at Yale University, where Professor Paul Friedman is a teacher, and some really good screenings, and the response has been, you know, to be honest with you, like it's good that some time has passed since the initial pandemic time, because some of the chefs, especially I'm thinking about Las Vegas, they were some people got up and walked out because it was too emotional for them. They had gone through the same thing, or they had closed a restaurant, and it was the same in Portland. I noticed that. And they came up to me like the day after and said, the film is great. I can't wait to watch it again, but I honestly couldn't handle it because it was too close to home. And I've had great response. We've had great response from some of the people who are in the film who've seen it now. And then, I just think it's
also interesting that people outside of the industry are affected by it as well. We did the screening in Pasadena, and my friend Paula Marshall, who's an actress, was at the screening, and she was talking about how she greatly related to the struggles that she went through in a totally different industry, in the film industry, but it's also very similar because you couldn't have work. And I've heard this through other industries as well, not just entertainment and whatnot, just like my whole life was changed and stopped, and I couldn't do that job like I used to be able to do that job. So while it may feel like a foodie movie or a restaurant movie, and it certainly is gonna, that audience is going to probably come to this most or understand from it the most, but I think it's really opening up doors for different industries of people that went through quite a bit during the pandemic.
Totally.
Yeah, I think everybody can relate to it.
Yeah.
As far as updates, who's doing what, Elizabeth? Do you know? Nancy Silverton's back in action. She's got her spaces and doing incredible things as always.
Some of the chefs definitely have lost the restaurant that they were working at the time, or they were working on multiple projects and had to close one of them or a couple of them. That's kind of the nature of the business anyway, too. And some people have reprioritized how they do their, work week or taking time off and all those things that we do talk about. Some people are, not interested in running the same kind of restaurant anymore. It's evolved into something completely different. So, I think that's a natural progression of evolution of restaurants anyway. But certainly that time made people stop and think about it for a minute more.
Well, I hope that as you guys have stated too, that this provides community for all of us to come together, no matter the industry, and we can all support each other and have that resiliency. I love that you said that word again. It's now, how like when people say certain things, and I'm gonna put that back more into my vocab again. That while you may shed tears, and this kind of is covering a sad subject in a way, but also it's one of hope and community, and that we can support each other. And I love it, and I thank you for bringing light to a lot of issues that we are experiencing in the world, because we all went through this pandemic together. And now let's not forget about our favorite restaurants that we love to go to and we think are going to be there, but if you're not supporting them, and especially during these times, things that are going to happen, and man, it's sad. So we got to support right here and right now. And I thank you both for just creating awareness with this project. I just think it's amazing. I had a thought and it's escaping me. I
want to
go ahead.
Mention
Please,
something to you.
I'm sorry.
No, my friend, another chef who's not in the film, but actually came and saw the film, I think in Sonoma, Leanne Wong. She's a chef in Maui and Lahaina, and her restaurant burned down just recently. And she is another superhero out there who sometimes I'm in food cooking competition shows with her. I've known her for a long time. She was one of the first contestants on Top Chef. A spectacular chef. She has a restaurant in Honolulu and one in Maui that's gone now. But I watched her just over the last couple, that just happened a week ago or something crazy. But, she's already she was, World Central Kitchen dropped in there. She's already on the front line. She just lost her restaurant and she's helping people find, get all the basic needs. And she's one of those people it's like a military force, the food service people. I mean, she's just out there already, she's probably completely freaked out not even worrying about herself, but is 100% worried about her staff and everybody else in Lahaina, and is leading the charge of like, let's get some stuff together. Let me raise some money. It's I would like to just go over there and like have a conversation with her now and try to help figure out how to, help everybody in Maui.
An amazing human. I gotta say, just everybody I know in the service industry. My dad was a chef in the military, and I worked in restaurant when I was in high school and all that. But just everybody I meet, I have the pleasure of knowing and working in the service industry. It's about servicing other people. You know what I'm saying? It's just not about self. They're very giving, and we wouldn't be here if not for those amazing people in the service industry. So I thank you both for shining lights on this. And what I was trying to get out of that, I started to remember, just because I don't want to end on a sad note, and I don't think it's sad note. I think we're talking about community, and that's what this is building, and it's beautiful. Everybody go check out Sorry We're Closed, streaming everywhere right now. I got to tell you, Elizabeth, that I've had a podcast and I've been on the radio since 2007. I'm a big foodie, but you are the first chef I've ever interviewed. And I was like, what? I cannot believe I haven't utilized my platform to talk to more chefs. So I think I'm going to do that now. I'm like, I need to get more chefs on. Especially I love to travel and eat out at restaurants. So maybe I can have that connection. Hey, I'm coming to your restaurant. Just want to let you know. So thank you for being my first chef, Elizabeth, just to put a little smile on your face real quick. But again, I thank you for your work with this, and Pete, helping bring this story out there to the people. Truly appreciate it. Everybody, again, check out Sorry We're Closed, streaming on all the things right now. But one last question before I let y'all go, because this is Nerds Rule the World over here. I'm a bona fide card-carrying nerd, a proud nerd. With every guest, I hope you're nerds too. I like to ask, if you are a nerd and you could give a nerd TED-style talk on anything, what would it be? And for you, Chef Elizabeth Falkner, we already know you're a chef. You can talk on all things food. But what is something nerdy that people don't know about you that you could give a nerdy TED-style talk on? And then Pete, you're next.
Okay.
Wait, it can't be about food?
It can't be about food. It's got to be something else.
I'm just a nerd about varietals of different produce. I mean, it's like that is the nerdiest thing about me. Like, I could sit here and tell you about different. Obviously, I love to talk about tomatoes, but I love to talk about all the different plums in season right now. Like, I could spend time talking with you about varietals of how cool everything is out there, because it's so unique, and all of them are interesting and have different flavors and textures and colors and all that. I love that. I love diversity.
I'll take that, because it's not just the cooking aspects. There's the science aspect of the different types of plums and tomatoes and all that, right? I've watched the menu. Which, anyway, I won't get on that. I thought that was another amazing film. But anyway, because it's a nerd show.
So Pete, funny.
How about you?
Oh, easily Beverly Hills 90210, the TV show. Yeah, I'm a super fan. I have a podcast about it. I could tell you why Claire Arnold's the best character on the show. Yeah, it's Beverly Hills 90210, 100%.
Love it. I'm going to include a link to that. I'm going to go find it on your links and then put that in there. Go check him talking about 90210, y'all. My man Pete. Chef Elizabeth Falkner, P. Ferriero, thank you both so much for your time. I truly appreciate it. Everybody, Sorry We're Closed is available right now on all streaming platforms. I'm going to have all the links in the description below. Again, thank you both. It's your boy Kuya P. This is Nerds Rule the World.
Thank you.
Amazing.
There you go.